Change your mind, change your life. Let me start with a truth that has the power to completely reshape the direction of your life. Nothing in your world changes until your mind changes. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every new result you've ever wanted begins inside your own head. People spend years trying to fix their circumstances, new jobs, new relationships, new goals, but they never change the one thing that created those circumstances in the first place. There's their thinking. The mind is the most powerful force in the universe, and yet most people never learn how to use it. They treat their mind like an untrained wild horse, letting it run wherever it wants. It reacts, it worries, it fears, it complains, and then they wonder why their lives feel out of control. But when you learn to direct your thoughts, instead of being directed by them, everything starts to change. Here's what I want you to really understand. You don't experience life as it is. You experience life as you are. You see through the lens of your own beliefs, your own expectations, your own emotions. Change the lens, and the world in front of you changes instantly. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same situation, lose a job, get rejected, face a challenge, and one person falls apart while the other rises stronger. What's the difference? It's not the event. It's the meaning they give to the event. Meaning equals emotion, and emotion equals life. The meanings you attach to what happens around you determine the quality of your life far more than the events themselves. If you see a setback as punishment, you'll feel defeated. But if you see it as a lesson, you'll grow. If you see failure as proof you're not enough, you'll give up. But if you see failure as feedback, you'll come back stronger. Your life follows your dominant thoughts like a shadow. What you focus on consistently becomes what you feel, what you expect, and ultimately what you create. That's why changing your mind is not a one-time event. It's a daily discipline. So the first shift to change your life is to become the master of your focus. Most people focus on what they fear instead of what they want. They think about what could go wrong instead of what could go right. And because whatever you focus on expands, fear begins to take over their reality. If you want to change your life, you have to train yourself to focus on what you can control, on what you have, on what's possible. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to reprogram your mind. You can't feel fear and gratitude at the same time. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. Gratitude shifts your vibration instantly. So start your day by asking, what's one thing I can be deeply grateful for right now? What's something I can celebrate instead of criticize? The mind always finds what it's told to look for. If you tell it to find problems, it will find them. If you tell it to find blessings, it will find those instead. The second shift is to take control of your self-talk. The words you speak to yourself shape your beliefs. Every time you say, I can't, your brain shuts down possibility. Every time you say, I can, your brain begins searching for a way. Most people are unconsciously programming themselves for failure by the way they talk to themselves every single day. They say things like, I'm so tired. I'm not good enough. This will never work. And then they wonder why they feel powerless. You must change the conversation in your own head. When the mind says, I'm not enough, interrupt it and say, I am growing, I am learning, I am capable. When the mind says, I can't handle this, answer with, I've handled everything up to now. I can handle this too. Your mind believes whatever you tell it most often. So make sure the story you repeat is one that empowers you, not one that limits you. And that brings us to the third shift in changing your mind, changing your beliefs. Your beliefs are the invisible script running your entire life. They determine what you attempt, what you tolerate, and what you avoid. The reason people stay stuck isn't because they don't have potential. It's because they believe something about themselves that keeps them small. Somewhere along the line, maybe someone told you weren't smart enough, strong enough, talented enough. And over time, you believed them. You made that opinion a fact in your own mind. But beliefs aren't facts. They're just repeated thoughts you've accepted as truth. Change the thought and the belief dissolves. Ask yourself right now, what do I believe about myself that no longer serves me? What belief am I holding that's keeping me from the life I deserve? Once you identify it, challenge it. Ask, is that absolutely true? And if it's not, replace it with something more empowering. Instead of, I'm not enough, tell yourself, I am becoming more than enough every single day. Instead of, I never succeed, tell yourself, every challenge is shaping me into someone unstoppable. Beliefs are built through repetition and emotion. So if you want to create new ones, repeat empowering thoughts daily and attach emotion to them. Feel them. Speak them as if they're already real. It's not lying to yourself. It's training your mind to expect what you want instead of what you fear. Because whatever your mind expects, your life creates. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system. It filters information based on what it thinks is important. If you tell your brain, I always attract problems, it will filter the world to confirm that belief. If you tell your brain, I attract opportunities, it will start showing you possibilities you never noticed before. You are literally programming your perception with your thoughts. So if you want to change your life, start with this: become conscious of what you consistently think about, because your dominant thoughts become your dominant reality. If you keep saying, this is hard, your brain will make it feel harder. If you start saying, this is a challenge I'm mastering, your brain will give you strength. Your language becomes your experience. And that's why I say change your mind, change your life. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker behind the thoughts. You have the power to decide which thoughts deserve your focus and which ones you will starve of attention until they fade. Start using that power. Start using it today, because the mind you control will create a life you love, and the mind you ignore will create a life you'll want to escape from. The choice is yours. When you change your mind, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing your destiny. You're rewiring how you interpret the world, how you react to challenges, how you see yourself. Most people live in mental autopilot. They wake up, think the same thoughts as yesterday, feel the same emotions, take the same actions, and then wonder why their life never changes. It's not because they don't want to change. It's because their minds are running an old program. You've got to become aware of that program and rewrite it. Here's something powerful to remember: your mind will always fight for its familiar patterns, even if those patterns are destroying your happiness. That's why change feels uncomfortable. It's your mind's way of clinging to what it knows. But comfort doesn't create growth. It creates stagnation. So the next time you feel uncomfortable when trying to grow, don't run from it. Recognize it as a sign that you're rewiring your reality. Every uncomfortable thought is an opportunity to teach your brain a new way to live. Here's a truth most people never realize: you can't have a new life with the same old mind. If you want a life that's extraordinary, your thoughts have to rise to that level first. You must think greater than your environment. You must believe greater than your circumstances. If you think only about what you can see, you'll stay stuck where you are. But if you start to think about what you can create, you'll move towards something better. You become what you think about most of the time. So what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about problems or possibilities? Are you thinking about who hurt you or who you can become? Are you thinking about lack or abundance? Your life is always following your dominant focus. Here's the truth: your mind doesn't care what you plant. It will grow whatever seeds you give it. If you plant doubt, you'll get more doubt. If you plant faith, you'll grow more confidence. So start planting intentionally. Every morning when you wake up, feed your mind powerful thoughts. Don't let the world program you with fear before you've even had your coffee. Choose what goes in. Say to yourself, today, I decide what kind of day I'm going to have. Today, I lead my mind instead of following it. That's how you take your power back. When you realize that your mind is your greatest asset or your greatest limitation, everything changes. Most people are prisoners of their own thinking. They're trapped in invisible walls made of fear, doubt, and insecurity. The key isn't outside them. It's in their own pocket. They've had the power to unlock their freedom all along, but they forgot how to use it. The moment you remember that you're not your thoughts, you set yourself free. You begin to see your thoughts as clouds passing through the sky, not as permanent truths. And here's something even more empowering: you can choose the thoughts that serve you and release the ones that don't. You don't have to believe everything you think. If a thought says, you're not ready, question it. If a thought says, you'll fail, challenge it. If a thought says, it's too late, replace it with, my time starts now. When you change your internal language, your external world starts to shift. The difference between people who live extraordinary lives and those who don't isn't luck. It's mindset. It's the ability to direct the mind toward possibility no matter what's happening. Every great leader, every innovator, every creator learned to use their mind as an instrument, not a cage. They trained themselves to focus on what they wanted even when things were falling apart. They didn't wait for evidence before believing. Their belief became the evidence. That's what you need to cultivate mental certainty in the face of uncertainty. When you hold a clear picture in your mind of who you want to become, and you keep feeding that image every day, your mind begins to organize your behavior to match it. This isn't magic, it's science. Your brain's neural pathways are constantly reshaping themselves based on what you repeatedly think and feel. So if you want to change your life, create a new mental pattern. See yourself already living the life you desire. Feel what it feels like. Speak it. Act as if it's already happening. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality when emotion is involved. That's why visualization works. It trains your mind to believe in what doesn't yet exist, and belief is what makes it real. You've got to be willing to think beyond your current evidence. The people who succeed the most are not the ones with the least fear. They're the ones who've trained their minds to move forward despite the fear. So when fear shows up, and don't try to eliminate it, train your mind to use it. Fear is just energy. Redirect it toward focus, action, and purpose. Remember this, your mind will create excuses or results, but never both. The next time your mind says, I can't, ask yourself, who's speaking, me or my fear? Because when you learn to silence the voice of fear and amplify the voice of faith, you step into your true power. Faith isn't believing everything will be easy. Faith is believing you'll handle it, whatever it is. And that kind of belief doesn't come from waiting for proof. It comes from deciding to believe in yourself first. When you believe you can grow, you will. When you believe you can change, you will. When you believe you deserve better, you'll start making decisions that align with that belief. And that's when your external world starts to shift to match your internal vision. Change your mind, and you'll attract new opportunities. Change your mind, and you'll start seeing possibilities that were invisible before. Change your mind, and you'll stop living in reaction and start living in creation. You are the author of your mental story. You can rewrite it anytime you choose. So here's your challenge from this moment forward. Catch yourself when your mind tries to limit you. Interrupt the pattern. Replace it with a thought that empowers you. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this is how I grow. Instead of saying, I've failed before, say, I've learned before. Instead of saying, I don't know how, say, I'm learning how. Your language becomes your life. If you change the way you speak to yourself, you'll change what you expect. And when your expectations rise, your behavior rises to meet them. You'll stop waiting for motivation and start creating momentum. Because the truth is, you don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to start thinking differently today. Small shifts in thinking lead to massive shifts in results. The moment you choose to think differently about yourself, you'll make different choices. Different choices create different actions. Different actions create a different future. That's how transformation works. It starts invisible, then it becomes unstoppable. So from today forward, train your mind like an athlete trains their body. Feed it empowering thoughts. Challenge it, strengthen it, stretch it. Because your life will never rise higher than your mental standards. If you want an extraordinary life, you must first build an extraordinary mindset. You are not limited by your past. You are limited only by the story you tell yourself about your past. You are not trapped by your circumstances. You are only trapped by your focus on them. The key is always in your hands. So make the decision now, not tomorrow, not someday. Right now, decide to think higher. Decide to speak powerfully. Decide to believe in your potential even when no one else does. That's the moment your transformation begins. Because when you change your mind, really change it, your world rearranges itself to reflect that new vibration. Change your thoughts, and your emotions follow. Change your emotions and your actions change your line, change your actions, and your results transform. That's how you change your life from the inside out. So stand tall, own your power, and remind yourself every single day, my mind is my greatest tool. My thoughts create my future. And every moment I choose to think better, I become better. Change your mind, and you will change your life.